Welcome back to days 293 and 294 of our Bible in a Year reading plan, which are our catch-up days. So in today's video, we will do a brief reflection on Luke chapter 10, which is the story of the Good Samaritan, and then we will have a brief introduction to the book of John. So let's dive into our reflection. Our reflection comes from day 291, where we read Luke chapters 9 through 12. And in Luke 10, Jesus tells the parable of the Good Samaritan. And the question is, how does this story challenge you to show love and compassion to others, especially those who are different from you? And so the story of the Good Samaritan was really challenging, especially in that time frame, because the Jewish people and the Samaritans did not like each other. The Jewish people considered the Samaritans to um, be Gentiles and outsiders, while the Samaritans, considered themselves to be followers of God. But remember, Samaria was resettled by a bunch of different people when the kingdom of Israel was exiled by the Assyrians. And so Samaria was filled with different people. They had to send back priests to come back and teach the people how to worship God because they were being attacked by animals and things in the area. And so the king of Assyria said, hey, we need to send back some of the priests to show them the proper way to worship God. And so remember, Samaria was always from that point was always a place filled with people of mixed ethnicity and people that learned how to worship God, but they may have also worshiped pagan. So, to put it mildly, Samaritans and Jews did not get along. They did not like each other. Jewish people did not want to have any association with them, which is why it was so amazing that Jesus went and talked to the Samaritan woman, and that Jesus did have a few ministries in Samaria just because of the relationship between the Jews and the Samaritan. But that's what this question is about is, how do we show love and compassion to others, especially those who are different from us? In our culture, there are so many people, they don't believe what we believe. We have atheists that don't even believe in God. We have people that live in alternative lifestyles that we know the Bible tells us that we cannot support and that we should not approve of. We have people that may come from different backgrounds, different ethnic groups, different religious beliefs. We have Muslims and things like that that we interact with. That these people are different from us. So how can we show compassion to those people, even those that are hostile to us and hostile to the gospel of Jesus Christ? How do we show love and compassion to them? And it's through caring for them, because that's what the Good Samaritan did. Because the heart of this story is that in the Good Samaritan, you had all these other Jewish people that came across this Jewish man that did not help him. But his quote unquote enemy turned around and helped him and showed him compassion and took care of him. And we as believers are to be the same way. The Bible tells us to love our enemies, to love those who hate us and despise us, those who despitefully use us. Those that may not even believe the same way that we believe, they may hate our God, they may hate our faith, they may mock us, but we are to still show love and compassion to those people. And so the story of the Good Samaritan is a good reminder of how we are to interact with the world around us and those that disagree with us. We can't just only help those that agree with our beliefs and what we are believe. We are to show love and compassion to the Muslim, to the atheist, to those that have alternative lifestyles and that believe different things, to those that may be in LGBTQ plus relationships. We are to show those people love and compassion, because that is showing them the love of Jesus Christ. And it is what God calls us to do, no matter how poorly they treat us, no matter how badly they talk about our faith. We are to show them love and compassion, especially when they are broken and when they are hurting. We especially need to show them love and compassion. But all right, that is the end of my thoughts on the reflection question for today. Let me know, what you think about the story of the Good Samaritan and how you can show compassion to those that are different from you. But all right, let's go into our introduction of the book of John. We have two more readings of the book of Luke, and then we will get to the last gospel in the New Testament, which is the book of John. As you all may or may not know, the book of John is attributed to the Apostle John, the son of Zebedee. You had James and John, and the Gospel of John is attributed to him and believed to have been written by Jesus' disciple John. So, two of the Gospels, Matthew and John, were written by disciples or believed to have been written by the disciples of Jesus. And then Mark and Luke were written by people that were associates of the disciples or the Apostle Paul, or both in those two cases. And like I said before, each gospel has its own specific purpose and its audience. And John actually gives us the purpose for his gospel. When you read John chapters 20, verses 30 through 31, that the purpose of his gospel is for the reader to believe that the Messiah, the Son of God, is Jesus. So the whole purpose of John's gospel is to show people that Jesus is the Messiah. The primary audience for John's gospel were Jewish people that may not have lived in Jerusalem and Judea, because remember, there were a lot of people that lived outside of Israel, outside of that land, that might not have been aware of Jesus and the things that happened with Jesus in Jerusalem. And so his gospel was to be spread out to the diaspora, those people that were living away from Israel at the time. And his gospel was also written to Jewish people that may have been interested in Christianity. So John's gospel is an evangelistic work because it seeks to spread the good news about Jesus Christ and who he is, and that he is the Messiah that the Jewish people have been waiting for. And so that is the purpose and the audience. And then John's gospel has a lot of similarities with the other gospels. You'll find, some of the same parables. You'll find the feeding of the 5,000 and the 4,000, the story of Jesus walking on the water, as well as John's baptism of Jesus and what happened during John's baptism. But you'll also find a lot of unique information that is not in the other gospels in the Gospel of John. John does a really good job of focusing on the miracles of Jesus. There are about 8 miracles that Jesus does in John's gospel that he focuses on. He also focuses on Jesus's I am statements, where Jesus talks about him being the Messiah, saying, I am the bread of life, I am the door, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So John focuses on his miracles. John focuses on Jesus' declarations about him being who that he says he is, about him being the Messiah. And John's gospel also primarily focuses on Jesus' ministry in the south of Israel. So it focuses a lot on the area of Judea and Samaria, where the other gospels bounce in between the north and the south of Israel. Some of them focus more on his gospel in the area of Galilee, and then some of them show both. But John's gospel really focuses more on the southern half of Israel and Jesus's ministry in those areas. So we get a lot of new information in John's gospel about the things that Jesus taught, the miracles that he did, like the turning the water into wine. We don't see that in any of the other gospels, and it's noted that that is Jesus's first miracles. Where if you only read the other gospels, you would think some of his other miracles were the first ones that he did, but according to John, his first miracle was turning water into wine at the wedding in Canaan. So there are a lot of interesting stories and a lot of things that we don't find in the other gospels in the Gospel of John. But all right, that is the end of day 293 and 294 of our Bible in a Year reading plan. If you've gotten behind on some of the other readings, I encourage you to take this time and go back and listen to those other videos, read along with me. Don't forget to check out the reflection questions for this past week. You can find those in the description section of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the notification for the next day's Bible reading. All right, guys, have a blessed day. Bye.